And now as you find a comfortable stillness, you can allow each word I say to be like a soft stepping stone leading you gently into tonight's story, a story of a transformation so profound it borders on the unbelievable. A story about becoming a living god in a world of shimmering golden dark obsidian, a story about the ultimate gilded cage. As you begin to settle, just one gentle thought. If this space feels like a comfort to you, you might consider a soft tap on the like or subscribe button. But only if that thought feels as effortless as a quiet breath. Your rest is what matters most. I also find it quietly wonderful to know where and when you're listening from. If you feel like it, you can let me know in the comments below your city and the time on your clock. It's like seeing little campfires glowing in the dark, all around the world, all of us sharing this quiet moment. And so, find that gentle darkness in your room, perhaps with a soft blanket pulled a little closer as we begin our slow drift into tonight's tale. The first thing you are aware of is the cool, unforgiving stone beneath you. It's a constant, grounding presence in a life that has become a hazy dream of confusion. You are one of many, a line of men, all of you from places with different names, now sharing this single, anonymous identity captive. The air is thick with the smell of damp earth, sweat, and the faint, sweet scent of something burning somewhere far away, copal incense, maybe. It's a holy smell that feels entirely out of place here. You don't know how long you've been in this holding pen. This temporary stop on a journey you never chose. Days are marked only by the scent of light from a high, unreachable opening in the wall. The sounds are muted, the distant rhythm of the city, the shuffling of feet, the low murmurs of men who have lost the energy for true conversation. But today is different. A new sound cuts through the dull hum. The heavy scrape of a stone door. The light that floods the space is blinding, and you instinctively raise a hand to shield your eyes. Into the gloom step figures that seem to absorb the light rather than reflect it. They are priests. Tall, uneventful still, with long matted hair that tells a story of years, decades even, without a comb or a blade. It's said their hair is clotted with the offerings of sacred rituals, a mark of their devotion. You can see why people believe it. Their white cotton robes are immaculate, a stark contrast to their wild hair and the grim determination in their eyes. The jewelry they wear is not gold or jade, but polished black obsidian, seeming to drink the light from the room. They don't speak. They simply move down the line of men, their gaze sharp, analytical. It's not the way a warrior looks at an enemy or a merchant looks at a good. It is the look of an artist searching for the perfect block of marble. Or perhaps, more accurately, a butcher inspecting livestock. A little bit of both maybe. When they reach the man next to you, their hands move with a detached professionalism. They check his teeth. They run a hand along his jaw, over his shoulders, looking for any imperfection, any scar from a past battle or a childhood fall. They find a pale, thin line on his forearm and move on without a word. Then, they are in front of you. Your heart, which had been beating with a slow, resigned rhythm, gives a single, hard thump against your ribs. You don't dare to breathe. One of them, the eldest, with eyes like chips of flint, tilts your head to the side. You can feel the surprising warmth of his fingers against your skin. He examines your ears, the line of your nose, the smoothness of your brow. He motions for you to open your mouth, and you obey. His gaze is intense, searching. Another priest runs a hand through your hair, letting the long, dark strands fall through his fingers. They are looking for something specific. This isn't a random selection for a common sacrifice on a temple top. This is a casting call. This is a central part of the Aztec understanding of the cosmos. The gods need to be nourished, and certain rituals require a very specific kind of offering. For this one, for the great god Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror, the lord of the night sky, the patron of rulers and sorcerers, only perfection will do. He is the embodiment of capricious, all-minus powerful divinity, and his earthly stand minus in must reflect that. You must be a flawless specimen of a man. It's a strange and little minus known detail that this perfection extended to what they considered grace. The priests watch you stand, watch you turn. They are judging the fluidity of your movement, the natural balance in your stance. Historians still debate whether the perfect vessel was always a captured enemy noble, a symbol of dominance over a rival state, or if sometimes a child born with the right signs within the empire itself was quietly set aside for this singular, sacred path. Was your fate sealed in a forgotten battle, or was it written in the stars the moment you were born? You'll never know. All you know is the feeling of their eyes on you, cataloguing every inch of your being. The high priest steps back. The air in the room is so thick with tension you could carve it. He looks you up and down one last time, a slow, deliberate assessment. Then he gives a single, almost imperceptible nod. He doesn't need to. The other priests flank you, their hands gently, but firmly taking your arms. It is done. They collective sigh, a mixture of relief and something unreadable, ripples through the line of remaining men. They will live another day. You are not so sure. As they lead you out of the gloom and into the blinding light, you realize your old life has just ended. A new one, shimmering and terrifying, is about to begin. The journey from the holding pen is not long, but it feels like crossing the world. You are guided through a labyrinth of stone corridors, your bare feet silent on the cool, polished floors. The air changes. The damp, earthy smell of the pen is replaced by the clean, sharp scent of burning herbs and the subtle perfume of flowers you cannot see. The sounds of the city fade away, replaced by a profound, humming silence. This is a sacred precinct, a place set apart from the world of men. The priests who guide you walk with a practiced ease, their movements economical and precise. They are not unkind, but they are entirely impersonal. You are no longer a person to them, you are a task, a sacred duty. They bring you to a chamber that glows with a soft, diffused light from cleverly hidden openings in the ceiling. In the center of the room is a large, sunken basin of dark, volcanic stone, filled to the brim with water so clear it seems to be a piece of the sky brought indoors. Steam rises from its surface in gentle wisps, carrying the scent of cedar and something floral and sweet. It's a TMAZCal, or a room much like one, a sweat bath used for both physical and spiritual purification. This practice of ritual cleansing was deeply embedded in their culture, a way of preparing the self for an encounter with the divine. For you, it's not preparation for an encounter, it's the beginning of an absorption, the priest's motion for you to enter the water. For a moment, you hesitate. It's the last decision you feel you have any control over, but the gentle, insistent pressure of their hands on your back leaves no room for refusal. You step into the basin, and the warmth of the water is a shocking comfort. It envelops you, a liquid embrace that seems to leach the cold dread from your bones. For a brief, blissful moment, you close your eyes and just feel the warmth. Then, the cleansing begins. It is meticulous, methodical, and utterly invasive. They start with your hair, pouring gourds of the warm water over your head again and again. They work a paste made from the bark of a certain tree through the strands, a natural soap that creates a low, fragrant lather. Their fingers are strong, working at your scalp, washing away not just the grime of the pen, but the dust of your former life, the memory of the road you traveled to get here. Next, they scrub your body. They use pads of rough agave fiber, moving in circular motions over your skin. It's not painful, but it is relentless. They scrub your arms, your chest, your legs, your feet. It feels as if they are trying to remove the very top layer of your skin, to erase any trace of the man you were. Every old callus from holding a Telora weapon, every faint thin line from a life spent under a different sun, is being buffed away. You are becoming a blank slate, a human canvas being prepared for a divine image. It's a bizarrely intimate process performed with the emotional detachment of a craftsman polishing a stone. A little minus known aspect of these rituals was the use of specific minerals and clays. Not just for cleaning, but for their symbolic properties. A fine, grey clay is mixed with water and smoothed over your entire body, a mask that covers you from forehead to toe. They let it tightens on your skin. You feel a strange sense of being encased, sealed away from yourself. When they finally rinse it off, your skin is impossibly smooth, soft, and pale. Throughout this entire process, which stretches for what feels like hours, no one speaks a word. The only sounds are the lapping of the water, the scrape of the fibers, and the soft hiss of the steam. This silence is the most unnerving part. It gives you too much space to think. You wonder about the man you were. What was his name? You can remember it, but it feels like the name of a character in a story you once heard. Did he have a family? A wife? A child? But they are losing their color, their substance. The ritual is working. It's not just cleaning your body, it's cleansing your mind. Historians still puzzle over the psychology of this. Was this process a form of brainwashing, a deliberate breaking down of the individual to ensure compliance? Or was it perceived as a genuine, transcendent honor, an elevation that the chosen one eventually came to accept or even welcome? Did any of the men who went through this before you fight back? Or did they, like you, find a strange peace in surrender, in the letting go of a life that was already forfeit? No first minus hand accounts. There is only the silence of the ritual and the story told by the stones. Finally, they are finished. They lead you out of the water and wrap you in a large, clean, white cotton mantle. It is soft and warm against your newly sensitive skin. They sit you on a low stone bench and, for the first time, offer you something to drink, cool water from a simple clay cup. As you drink, you look at your own hand, at the clean, perfectly trimmed nails, the smooth skin. It doesn't look like your hand anymore. The priests stand back, observing their word, a quiet consensus of approval. The raw material is now ready. The man has been washed away. All that is left, all empty and waiting to be filled. Your new life begins in a place that is part school, part temple, part gilded prison. It's the Calmecac, the exclusive institution reserved for the sons of the nobility, the future priests and leaders of the empire. But your curriculum isn't like any other. You are not here to learn the arts of war or governance. You are here to learn the art of being a god. The transition is seamless and disorienting. One moment you are a scrubbed and empty vessel, the next you are a student in the most exclusive and most terminal academy in the world. The days take on a strange, dreamlike rhythm. Your tutors are the same high priests who selected you, their faces impassive, their voices low and hypnotic. They treat you with a new kind of reverence, a gentle deference that is far more unsettling than their previous clinical detachment. You are addressed with titles of honor, given the best seat, served first. They are not teaching a captive, they are instructing a divinity. They are reminding him of who he is. Your first lessons are in movement. You must learn to walk like Tezcatlipoca. This is not the purposeful stride of a warrior or the shuffling gait of a captive. It is a slow, deliberate, and impossibly graceful glide. You spend hours walking back and forth across a polished stone floor, your every step corrected by the priests. The earth should not hear your footfalls, Lord, they murmur. You are not a man of weight in soil. You are a presence, a vision. You learn to hold your body with a stillness that is both relaxed and immensely powerful, to turn your head not with a quick, human jerk in response to a sound, but with a slow, all-encompassing sweep, as if surveying your creation. Then comes the music. You are given a flint, beautifully crafted from clay, its surface cool and smooth in your hands. This is not just an instrument, it is your voice. Tezcatlipoca is a god of duality, creation and destruction, order and chaos, and his music must reflect this. Your tutors teach you melodies that are hauntingly beautiful, tunes that speak of the wind through the cypress trees and the rustle of corn leaves in the sun. Unsettling refrains that evoke the jaguar's cry in the night and the unpredictable tremor of the earth. This musical training is more than just performance. It's a key part of your divine role. You will be expected to play this flute wherever you go. A constant, living soundtrack to your divine existence. Some scholars believe the melodies were a form of non-verbal communication, specific tunes for specific occasions, understood by the populace. Others argue it was more abstract, a way of maintaining the divine, otherworldly atmosphere around you at all times. The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in between. What you know for certain is that the flute becomes an extension of you. When words fail, when the loneliness becomes a physical ache in your chest, you can pour it all into the hollow clay. Your education extends to conversation on etiquette. A god does not speak perfect. You learn the high courtly dialect of Nahuatl, a language of beautiful, complex metaphors and layered meanings. You are taught how to accept offerings with a gesture that is both grateful and infinitely aloof. You learn to smoke tobacco with a contemplative grace, not for pleasure, but as a ritual act, the smoke a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. One of the most peculiar details of this training is learning to smell flowers. You are taught to hold a blossom delicately, to inhale its fragrance with a specific, meditative posture. Flowers were a powerful symbol of beauty, creation, and the fleeting nature of life, and your interaction with them had to be a perfect, silent poem. During these weeks of intensive training, you are kept in seclusion. You see no one but your priest minus tutors. You eat simple, pure foods, maize cakes, fruit, fresh water. It is a period of intense focus, of stripping away the last vestiges of your old self and layering on the new. Divine persona, thread by careful thread, they are not just teaching you a role, they are methodically rewriting your very being. Sometimes in the dead of night, when the silence of the Calmecac is absolute, a sliver of the old you returns. A memory of laughter, a fleeting image of a face you once loved, the feeling of mud between your toes. In those moments, a wave of panic, cold and sharp, washes over you. You are an imposter, a fraud, a nameless man from a conquered land, playing dress minus up for his captors. You grip the fruit in the darkness, its smooth clear comfort, and you remember the look in the priest's eyes. They are not deceivers. They are the most fervent believers of all. And their belief is so powerful, so awe-consuming that it is slowly, terrifyingly becoming your own. You are forgetting how to be a man. You are learning how to be a god. The day of your unveiling arrives without warning. There is no grand announcement, just a change in the morning's routine. Instead of lessons in a quiet courtyard, you are led to a chamber you have never seen before. It is hung with heavy cotton tapestries that muffle all sound, creating a space of profound stillness. In the center of the room, laid out on woven mats, is an array of objects that catch the dim light and shimmer with a life of their own. This is your regalia. The priests begin the long ceremonial process of dressing you. It is done in reverent silence, each movement a prayer. First, a simple, black loincloth of the finest cotton. Then they begin to paint your body. Using clay stamps and brushes made from rabbit fur, they cover your skin in intricate, geometric patterns. The paint is black, made from certain sacred resins. It's cool on your skin, and the scent is sharp and clean. They paint for vertical stripes on your face, the signature pattern of the god you are to become. Looking down at your own arms, covered in these alien symbols, you feel a profound sense of detachment, as if this is happening to someone else. Next comes the jewelry. They place a necklace of exquisite jade and turquoise beads around your neck, the stones cool and heavy against your collarbones. On your wrists and ankles they fasten bracelets and anklets made of pure gold, fashioned to look like coiled serpents. On your feet they place sandals of jaguar skin, the soft fur whisper against your soles. A fan made of the long, iridescent green tail feathers of the Quetzal bird is placed in your hand. It is a symbol of royalty, of divinity, and it feels impossibly light. The final piece is the headdress. It is a magnificent, terrifying creation, a cascade of eagle feathers and Quetzal plumes that frames your face and flows down your back. In the center, attached to a golden circlet, is a disc of polished obsidian. It is a mirror, but not a clear one. It is dark, smoky, and it distorts the world it reflects. This is the smoking mirror. Tezcatlipoca, the symbol of the god himself. When they are finished, one of the priests brings forward a standing frame that holds a larger version of this mirror, a sheet of obsidian polished to a perfect, dark sheen. For the first time, you see yourself not as the captive, not as the student, but as the god. The reflection is a stranger, a figure of immense, otherworldly power. The black paint has erased the familiar lines of your face, replacing them with a divine mask. The dark eyes that stare back at you seem ancient, knowing. The feathers of the headdress create a halo of shimmering green and fierce brown, making you seem taller, broader. The gold on your arms and legs glints in the torchlight, and the turquoise of the necklace is a splash of sky against the black of your painted skin. You lift your hand, the one holding the Quetzal fan, and the reflection does the same. It is you, but it is not you. You are looking at the face of Tezcatlipoca. This is the moment of transformation, the culmination of all the washing, all the teaching, all the practice. It's a concept that modern minds struggle with, the idea that a person can truly become a god, not just represent one. But in the Aztec worldview, the boundary between the human and the divine was permeable. A properly prepared vessel, adorned with the correct sacred objects, could become a temporary home for a deity. It's a topic of endless discussion among anthropologists. Was this a belief in a full possession, a kind of divine channeling, or was it a more symbolic embodiment, an Ixiptla, a living image or likeness? The priests who look at you now, their eyes filled with awe, certainly seem to believe the former. And in this moment, looking at the dark mirror, so do you. The fear, the memory of the man you were, it all recedes. It's drowned out by the sheer, overwhelming power of the image before you. The weight of the headrest settles on your brow, the cool press of the jade on your chest, the soft jaguar fur on your feet, it all becomes real. This is your identity now. You are no longer a man from a forgotten village. You are the lord of the smoking mirror, the mover of fates, the enemy on both sides. A priest hands you your flint. You bring it to your lips, your fingers finding the familiar holes. You play a few notes, a simple, haunting melody you have practiced 100 times. But now, the sound is different. It is fuller, richer, echoing in the still, tape-dried room. It is no longer the sound of a captive learning a tune. It is the sound of a god breathing his spirit into the world. The high priest nods, satisfied. The transformation is complete. He gestures toward the heavy tapestry that covers the chamber's entrance. It is time to show the world its god has returned. You take a slow, steadying breath, the air smelling of resonant feathers, and you walk towards the doorway, ready to step into your new reality. The tapestry is pulled aside, and the world rushes in. The sudden flood of sound and light is a physical blow. After weeks of hushed corridors and quiet courtyards, the sheer sensory overload of Tezcatlipoca is staggering. The city roars, not with anger or fear, but with a deep, resonant hum of pure, ecstatic devotion. Tens of thousands of people are packed into the vast ceremonial plaza, a vibrant, shifting sea of humanity, their faces all turned towards you. You take your first step out of the temple and into the sun. The brilliant light of the high-altitude sun hits the obsidian mirror on your headdress, sending a shard of reflected darkness dancing over the crowd. A collective gasp, like a great wave, ripples through the plaza. They see it. You begin your walk. This is the moment your lessons in movement were for. You glide across the top of the pyramid, your jaguar minus skin sandals silent on the hot stone. The priests follow at a respectful distance, their presence is silent, reinforcing frame for your divine portrait. The plan is to descend the impossibly steep temple stairs and walk a prescribed route through the heart of the city. It is your presentation, your coronation. As you reach the top of the grand staircase, the city unfolds before you. Tezcatlipoca. It is a breathtaking sight, a geometric marvel of canals and causeways, pyramids and palaces, all seeming to float on the shimmering blue water of Lake Texcoco. The great temple, the Temple Maya, stands like a twin minus-peaked mountain in the center of it all, its shrines painted a vivid red and blue. The air is alive with the smells of the city, the sharp scent of chili peppers from the market, the sweet perfume of thousands of flowers arranged in floating gardens, the ever-present, earthy smell of the lake itself. It is the most magnificent city you have ever seen, a jewel box of civilization. And at this moment, it is all at your feet. You begin the descent. The temple steps are notoriously steep and narrow, designed to make those who ascend or descend bow in reverence. But your practiced, slow glide makes the movement seem effortless, otherworldly. With each step, the roar of the crowd grows louder. They are chanting his name, your name. Tezcatlipoca, Tezcatlipoca. It's a rhythmic, hypnotic thunder that vibrates in your chest. When you finally reach the bottom, the crowd parts before you like water before the prow of a canoe. A wide avenue has been cleared, the ground strewn with flowers, marigolds, dahlias, roses, creating a fragrant, colorful carpet for you to walk upon. People fall to their knees as you approach. They press their foreheads to the ground, not daring to look directly at you. To meet the gaze of the smoking mirror unprepared was to invite madness or misfortune. It's a fascinating aspect of their theology. The gods were not just benevolent providers, they were immensely powerful and dangerous forces of nature to be treated with caution and profound respect. You walk through this corridor of prostrate bodies, your Quetzal fan held gracefully, your flute in your other hand. Occasionally, you bring the flute to your lips and play a few notes of the haunting melody you have mastered. Each time you do, a shiver of excitement runs through the crowd. The god is breathing. From the corners of your eyes, you catch glimpses of the city's life, now frozen in your honor. In the great marketplace of Tezcatlipoca, merchants have abandoned their stalls of exotic birds, fine pottery, and shimmering fabrics. On the canals, boatmen have ceased their paddling, their canoes filled with goods now drifting aimlessly. Everywhere, the city has stopped its relentless hum of commerce and activity to witness this moment. Some historians suggest this procession was a calculated political act as much as a religious one, a way for the emperor, the Tla to demonstrate his piety and his direct connection to the divine. By facilitating the return of Tezcatlipoca to the city, he reinforced his own legitimacy and power, but for the people on their knees. This isn't politics. This is a cosmic event. Their god of fate, of night, of sorcery and power is walking among them. The rising of the sun, the coming of the rains. You feel a strange duality. The man inside you, the last fading ember of him, is overwhelmed, terrified, a fraud about to be discovered. But the god you have become is serene. This adoration is his domain. The sheer, focused power of tens of thousands of people's belief is a tangible force. It buoys you, carries you, carries you, solidifies the divine persona you wear. You are no longer acting. The procession winds through the city's main thoroughfares, past the homes of nobles, decorated with bright murals, and towards a palace that is being prepared for you. This will be your home for the coming year. As you approach, you see its gates standing open, a promise of unimaginable luxury within. Your walk is almost over. Your new life as a god on earth is about to truly begin. You cross the threshold of your new home, and the roar of the city fades behind you, muffled by thick stone walls. You step into a world of curated paradise. The palace is not the largest in Tezcatlipoca, and that honor belongs to the emperor, but it is the most exquisite. It's a sprawling, single-story complex of rooms arranged around a series of open-air courtyards. The air inside is cool and smells of damp stone, jasmine, and vanilla. The change in atmosphere is immediate. Outside was the overwhelming power of the masses. Inside is the intimate, suffocating luxury of the divine. You are met by a staff of servants who move with the same silent, reverential grace as the priests. They keep their eyes lowered, their movements fluid and unobtrusive. They exist only to anticipate your needs, to fulfill your desires before you are even aware of them. One of your courtyards contains an aviary filled with birds of every imaginable color. Their calls and songs provide a constant, gentle music. Another courtyard is a garden, meticulously designed with geometric flowered, bubbling fountains and shaded walkways. Here, the rarest and most fragrant flowers are cultivated for your sole pleasure. There's even a menagerie, a small zoo containing some of the empire's most sacred and powerful animals, a jaguar that paces in a sunken enclosure, its spotted coat a living shadow, eagles that watch you with intelligent, unblinking eyes from their perches. This was a hallmark of Aztec nobility. The Emperor Montezuma I was famous for his vast botanical gardens and zoos, which were not just for pleasure but were also centers of study and symbols of his dominion over the natural world. Your palace is a miniature version of his, a microcosm of the empire's wealth and power, all dedicated to you. Your personal chambers are stunning. The walls are covered in polished white stucco, painted with delicate murals depicting scenes from the life of Tezcatlipoca, his creation of the world, his cosmic battles with his rival Quetzalcoatl. Woven reed mats cover the floor, soft and cool under your jaguar-skin sandals. Your bed is a raised platform piled high with thick cotton blankets and pillows stuffed with the downy feathers of water birds. It looks impossibly soft, a cloud to rest upon. And then there is the food. The midday meal is your first true taste of paradise. You are seated on a low stool, intricately carved from a single piece of wood. A servant brings a basin of warm, scented water and a clean cotton towel for you to wash your hands. Then, the feast begins. It's not a chaotic banquet, but a procession of small, perfect dishes, brought one at a time on brightly painted ceramic plates. There are tamales, steamed in corn husks, filled with spiced turkey and beans. There are pieces of roasted fish from the lake, seasoned with chili and tomato. There are exotic fruits you've never seen before, their flesh vibrant and sweet. You are served venison, cooked in a rich, dark sauce. And to drink, you are given XO Cola TL, the chocolate drink of the nobility. It's not the sweet, milky confection of the modern world. This is a potent, frothy, and often bitter beverage, whipped to a foam and spiced with chili, vanilla, and other secret ingredients. It is invigorating, a drink of the gods, served in a cup made from a hollowed, painted gourd. The sheer variety is a testament to the Empire's vast tribute network. Ingredients for your meal have come from every corner of the known world: vanilla from the hot coastal lowlands, chili from the arid north, chocolate from the southern jungles. This entire logistical marvel, this complex system of runners and merchants, is being leveraged to bring a perfect piece of venison to your plate. It's a detail often lost in the grand sweep of history, the immense daily effort required to maintain this level of luxury. It's a quiet but constant reminder of the power you now embody. You eat alone in silence. The servants are present but unobtrusive, appearing only to bring a new dish or clear an old one. This solitude at the center of such opulence is a strange paradox. You are the focus of all this attention, yet you are profoundly alone. You eat slowly, savoring flavors you never knew existed, your senses overwhelmed. This is the taste of divinity. It is rich, complex, and deeply satisfying. But as you sit there, surrounded by beauty, your every need met, a quiet, cold thought finds its way into your mind. This is not a reward. This is a fattening. Every delicious bite, every luxurious comfort, is a part of the process. You are being prepared, perfected, not just spiritually and aesthetically, but physically. You are a sacred offering being made ready. The thought doesn't diminish the pleasure of the meal. In a strange way, it heightens it. Then you will enjoy every last morsel. For now, for a few days, you exist in this state of solitary splendor, a god in a silent palace. You grow accustomed to the rhythms of luxury, the soft present scent of flowers and incense. You practice your flute in the sun-drenched courtyards, your haunting melodies echoing through the empty halls. It is a peaceful, if unsettling existence, but your divine life is not meant to be one of solitude. One afternoon, you are led by a high priest to a different wing of the palace, one you have not yet explored. He brings you to a set of chambers, even more beautifully appointed than your own. The air here is thick with the scent of a different kind of flower, something intoxicating and deeply feminine. The murals on these walls are softer, depicting goddesses of maize, love, and water. The priest gestures for you to enter, and then, with a low bow, he leaves, pulling a heavy woven curtain across the doorway. You are alone, but you know you are not. Seated on low cushions around the room are 4 young women. They are impossibly beautiful, each one a different vision of perfection. They rise in unison as you enter, their movements graceful and synchronized, and lower their eyes in your presence. These are your wives. They have been chosen with the same exacting care as you were. Each is the daughter of a high-ranking nobleman, raised from birth for a life of grace and duty. And just as you have been transformed into the living image of Tezcatlipoca, each of them has been chosen to embody a specific goddess. One represents Ixiptla, the goddess of flowers, beauty, and love. Her robes are embroidered with intricate floral patterns, and fresh blossoms are woven into her long, dark hair. Another is Atlotornan, a goddess of the coast, and she wears necklaces of shimmering pearl and seashells that whisper when she moves. The third embodies Ixiptla, the goddess of salt, her white robe stark and elegant. And the fourth is Nen, the tender goddess of young corn, adorned in shades of pale green, her presence radiating a feeling of gentle nourishment. The selection of these specific goddesses is a point of debate for scholars. Do they represent the four cardinal directions, the four seasons, or perhaps the fundamental pillars of civilization: beauty, sustenance from the earth, and the vital preservative of salt? Whatever the precise meaning, their purpose is clear. They are to be your divine companions, completing your cosmic household. They are your goddesses, and you are their god. For a moment, there is a profound, awkward silence. The man inside you, the one you thought was gone, is suddenly, painfully present. He doesn't know what to do. These are young women, beautiful and alive, and he is a dead man walking. But the god you have become knows his role. You gesture for them to be seated, your movements slow and deliberate, just as you were taught. You take a seat yourself, and the strange, silent ceremony of your first meeting begins. They are not just companions, they are your final tutors. They are tasked with teaching you the softer side of divinity, the art of pleasure, of gentle conversation, of courtly love. They speak to you in the high formal dialect you learned, their voices like music. They offer you exquisitely prepared foods, placing the choicest morsels on your plate. It's an incredibly strange and complex social dynamic. In a way, they are your wives, but in a more profound sense, they are your priestesses tending to the needs of their living deity. And stranger still, they are also your fellow captives. Their fate is tied to yours. While they will not share your final, dramatic destiny on the pyramid, their lives as goddesses will end when yours does. After your year is over, they will live out their days in honored, but somber, seclusion. This year is the peak of their lives, just as it is for you. This strange shared fate creates an unspoken bond between you. They are the only people in the entire world who have a glimpse of the reality of your situation. They see the man behind the paint. In the quiet moments, in the way they look at you when they think you are not watching, you see a flicker of something beyond reverence, pity, empathy, a shared understanding of the beautiful, terrible bargain you have all made. That first day, you barely speak. You listen to their soft voices, you accept their offerings, you breathe in their perfume. You are a god, surrounded by his goddesses, living in a perfect palace. The loneliness that had begun to ache in your chest is soothed, replaced by this new, complex intimacy. You have a family now, a perfect, beautiful, and utterly temporary divine family. The days melt into a golden, predictable rhythm. Life in the palace becomes a beautifully choreographed performance, a play in which you are the undisputed star. Each morning the ritual begins. You are woken not by a harsh sound, but by the soft scent of burning copal incense, brought into your chamber by a silent servant. Your wives enter, their morning greetings a soft chorus of divine titles. They help you with your morning ablutions, washing your face and hands in water infused with fragrant herbs. The process of dressing you is a lengthy, ceremonial affair. Your body is repainted with the sacred black symbols, a daily rededication of your physical form to the god. The golden jewelry is fastened, the jaguar minus skin sandals tied, the magnificent feather headdress is placed on your head with the reverence of a crown being placed on the head of an emperor. By the time you are fully adorned, hours have passed. You are no longer the man who woke up. You are Tezcatlipoca, ready to face your day. Your days are structured not by tasks or duties, but by a series of prescribed pleasures. You walk in your gardens, your wives trailing behind you like a cloud of butterflies. They point out the most beautiful blossoms, holding them for you to smell in the precise, meditative way you were taught. You sit by the fountains and listen to the murmur of the water, a sound designed to soothe the divine mind. Music is a constant thread in this tapestry of leisure. You play your flute, and your wives sing in accompaniment, their voices soft and high. Sometimes professional musicians are brought to the palace. They play for you on drums, rattles, and great conch minus shell trumpets, but always from a respectful distance, often hidden behind a screen. You are not entertained. You are the recipient of a musical offering. The feasts continue, each meal a culinary masterpiece. You learn to distinguish the subtle flavors of different kinds of maize, the varieties of chili, the many ways to prepare turkey and duck. You drink the frothy, spiced chocolate, and you smoke tobacco from a long, elegant pipe, the smoke a prayer curling towards the heavens. This constant indulgence was not seen as decadence but as a vital part of the ritual. The earthly vessel of the god had to be nourished with the very best the world could offer. It was a sign of the empire's devotion and wealth. One of the most curious, and often misunderstood, aspects of your daily life is your freedom. You are not a prisoner confined to the palace. You are allowed, even encouraged, to walk through the city. Whenever you choose to leave the palace walls, a procession forms. You, in your full regalia, playing your flute, are at the center. Your wives follow, and a contingent of priests and attendants flank you, clearing the way. As you walk the streets of Tezcatlipoca, the city again comes to a halt. People fall to their knees, pressing their foreheads to the ground. The smell of incense wafts from every doorway as households burn offerings to honor your passing. It's a strange, lonely kind of celebrity, yet you cannot have a normal human interaction. You cannot stop and talk to a merchant or laugh with a child. You are a divine spectacle, a walking, breathing statue. You exist to be seen, to be worshipped from a distance. Historians debate the purpose of these daily walks. Were they a way to keep the populace in a state of constant religious fervor? A reminder of the god's presence and the state's power? Or was there a more practical, psychological reason, a way to prevent the god-minus impersonator from going mad in the isolation of the palace? Perhaps it was all these things. The days are long and languid, but they are never truly your own. Every moment is scripted. Every pleasure is a duty. The sun rises, you are dressed. You walk, you eat. You listen to music. You spend time with your beautiful wives. At night, you are undressed, the paint washed away, and you sleep on your cloud of feather pillows. Then the sun rises, and the play begins again. It is a perfect life, a golden cage. And as the weeks turn into months, you start to feel the beautiful, velvet-lined walls of your cage closing in. The routine, once a comforting structure, begins to feel like a relentless, unstoppable tide, carrying you towards a destination you try very hard not to think about. The loneliness is a strange, creeping vine. It grows in the quiet spaces between the rituals, in the moments after the music fades, in the deep of the night when the palace is still. It's a paradox that gnaws at you. You are never truly alone. From the moment you wake to the moment you sleep, you are surrounded by people, servants, priests, your four wives. You are the sun around which this entire small universe revolves. And yet, the conversations you have are not conversations. They are recitations. Your wives speak to you with a beautiful, deferential poetry, but they do not ask about your thoughts, your feelings. To do so would be an admission that you have them, but you have them, that a man still exists beneath the paint. They talk about the beauty of the flowers, the sweetness of the fruit, the stories of the God stories. You are now powerful today, that your music was divine. A constant one-way flow of worship that creates an unbridgeable chasm between you and them. You miss the simple, messy reality of human connection. You miss the easy laughter of a shared joke. You miss arguing about something trivial, the comfortable silence of two people who know each other so well that words are unnecessary. You miss being seen, truly seen, not as a symbol, but as a person. Here, you are an object of veneration. Your face is a mask, your body is a costume, and your life is a script. The servants are even more distant. They are ghosts who glide in and out of your rooms, their eyes always downcast. They perform their duties with a flawless, terrifying efficiency. They feed you, clothe you, clean up after you, but they do not exist in your world. To them, you are a powerful, dangerous force, a living deity whose gaze they must avoid. You could scream, and they would likely interpret it as a divine utterance. You could weep, and they would see it as sacred water. This profound isolation of the Ixiptla is a detail often overlooked in the dramatic, bloody spectacle of the final sacrifice. For a full year, a human being was placed in a position of supreme emotional and psychological solitude. Some academics have speculated that this was a deliberate part of the process, a way to break down the individual's sense of self and merge it more completely with the divine persona. By stripping away all normal human relationships, the captive is forced to fully inhabit the role of the god, because it is the only role left to play. Sometimes, you try to break through. You might ask one of your wives a direct, personal question. What did you dream of last night? Her reaction is always the same, a moment of beautiful, flustered confusion. Before she crafts an answer that is suitably poetic and impersonal. I dreamt the maize god smiled upon the fields, my lord. They have been trained as thoroughly as you have. They know the rules. The man is not to be acknowledged. The most acute loneliness comes at night, after the paint has been washed away, when you are lying in the darkness on your impossibly soft bed. The silence of the palace presses in. You are just a body in the dark. The memory of your past life, of the village you came from, of the faces of your family, is now a distant, faded tapestry. You try to hold on to the details, but they slip through your fingers like sand. The ritual is working. You find yourself staring up at the sliver of night sky visible from the opening in your ceiling, searching for a familiar pattern of stars. It's the only thing that connects this life to the last. The stars are the same. They looked down on you when you were a boy, a warrior, a captive. And they look down on you now, a god in a golden cage. You wonder if anyone from your old life ever looks at those same stars and thinks of you, or do they simply believe you vanished in the chaos of a battle long ago? This question, this complete and utter severing from your own history, is the sharpest edge of your solitude. You are a man without a past, living a present that feels like a dream, facing a future that is a terrifying certainty. In this silent, gilded world, your flute becomes your only true companion. It is the one thing that feels entirely yours, a conduit for everything you cannot say. The priests taught you the melodies, the correct, sacred tunes for a god to play. But in the quiet hours, when you are alone in a sun-drenched courtyard or in the deep stillness of the evening, you begin to find your own music. The flute is a simple thing, made of baked clay with a handful of holes. Yet, in its simplicity, you find a universe of expression. You learn its subtleties, the way a slight change in breath can make a note tremble with sorrow, the way a quick flutter of your fingers can make it sound like a bird taking flight. The formal, haunting melodies of Tezcatlipoca become your starting point, a musical language that you begin to bend to your own will. You play the tunes of longing for a life you can barely remember. The notes stretch out thin and high, like a thread of smoke reaching for a distant sky. You play the confusion, the dissonance of being both a man and a god, the melody deliberately breaking, stumbling upon itself, finding no resolution. You play the creeping dread, the low, mournful notes that seem to rise from the cold stone beneath you, a song for the slow, inevitable turning of the calendar. And sometimes you play the beauty. You play the impossible, shimmering color of a hummingbird's throat. You play the taste of a fresh mango, the feel of the cool evening breeze on your skin after the heat of the day. You play the heartbreaking grace of your wives as they walk through the garden. In these moments, the music is not sad or fearful. It is a desperate, soaring hymn to the beautiful, fleeting world you are being allowed to experience. Your wives, your attendants, they hear this music. They praise it. The Lord is inspired today, they whisper. His music speaks of the cosmos. They interpret your improvisations as divine utterances, the secret thoughts of Tezcatlipoca made audible. They cannot, or will not, hear the man screaming from inside the song. This misunderstanding is both a source of profound frustration and a strange kind of freedom. Your musical confessions are hidden in plain sight, your secrets broadcast for all to hear, yet they remain perfectly safe, shrouded in the veil of divinity. This focus on the flute is a fascinating and specific detail of the Tezcatlipoca ritual. While other god-minus impersonators existed in the Aztec pantheon, none are so closely associated with a musical instrument. Some scholars theorize that the flute, being made of earth clay, animated by breath, wind, spirit, and producing beauty the divine, was a perfect microcosm of the human being's place in the cosmos. Its breaking at the end of the year was not just a symbolic act, but the destruction of this perfect miniature world. As the months wear on, your skill grows. You are no longer just playing notes, you are weaving tapestries of sound. The music becomes your diary, your prayer, your rebellion. It is the only place where the man and the god can truly meet. The man provides the raw emotion, the fear, the love, the sorrow. The god provides the divine language, the formal structure through which these feelings can be expressed without shattering the illusion. One evening, you are playing in the central courtyard as twilight bleeds purple and orange across the sky. You are playing a particularly sad, quiet tune, a melody that speaks of goodbyes. You are so lost in the music that you don't notice one of your wives, Ixoki, the goddess of flowers, has stopped nearby to listen. When you finish, the last note hanging in the air like a question, you open your eyes and see her. And for the first time, the look on her face is not one of simple adoration. There is something else there, a flicker of profound, human understanding. She seems to have heard not just the god's song, but the man's lament. She says nothing, simply gives a low, respectful bow and retreats into the shadows. But for a fleeting moment, you felt a connection, a single thread of understanding woven through the music. In the vast silence of your divine life, it is a moment of impossible grace. The memory of it sustains you for weeks. The regalia, which once felt like a magnificent second skin, begins to feel like a cage made of feathers and gold. The daily ritual of being dressed, once a moment of awesome transformation, now feels like an assembly. You are a doll being prepared for display, a sacred object being polished for the altar. The weight of the headdress is the most constant reminder. It is not just the physical weight of the feathers, the gold, the obsidian mirror, though that is considerable. After hours of wearing it, a dull ache settles in your neck and shoulders, but it is the symbolic weight that is truly exhausting. It is the crown of a king whose only decree is his own death sentence. When it is placed on your head each morning, it feels like a final, gentle click of a lock. The black paint becomes a suffocating mask. In the heat of the midday sun, it feels heavy, and you can feel beads of sweat trickling underneath it, tracing paths you cannot scratch. When it is washed off at night, there is a moment of profound relief, of feeling your own skin again, breathing in the cool night air. But this relief is fleeting, because you know that in the morning, the mask will be replied. You are only truly yourself in the dark, and even then, yourself is a fading memory. The golden armbands and anklets, once shimmering symbols of divinity, now feel like beautiful, ornate shackles. They clink softly when you move, a constant, gentle reminder of your bondage. You are adorned for sacrifice, a precious offering made beautiful for the gods. The jaguar minus skin sandals, which once made you feel powerful and silent, now remind you that you are walking on the skin of a hunted animal. You and the jaguar share a similar fate, to be admired for your beauty and strength, and then to be killed to serve a higher purpose. This experience, this gradual shift in perception from honor to burden, is something Mesoamerican scholars refer to as the materiality of belief. The physical objects of ritual are not just symbols, they have a profound, tangible effect on the person interacting with them. The constant weight, the claustrophobia of the paint, the gentle jingle of the gold, these sensory inputs slowly and methodically reshape the wearer's reality. It is a psychological conditioning achieved through physical means. You find yourself focusing on the quetzal feathers. You watch them shimmer and move in the breeze, their impossible green minus blue catching the light. Quetzales were sacred birds, associated with freedom and the divine spirit. The fact that they could not be kept in captivity, it was said they would die of a broken heart, was a well-known belief. And here you are, a man who cannot be kept in captivity for more than a year, adorned in the feathers of a bird that shares your spirit. It's a cruel, beautiful piece of poetry that is not lost on you. One day, during a procession through the city, a small child, braver or more foolish than the rest, darts out from the crowd and touches the edge of your feathered cloak before being snatched back by a horrified mother. The touch is fleeting, a tiny warm hand against the cool feathers. But it sends a jolt through you. It is a reminder that beneath this towering divine edifice there is a man who can be touched, a man who is real. The moment is gone in an instant, but it lingers. The weight of it all becomes a kind of anchor, pulling you down through the months. Each morning the application of the regalia feels like a shovel-fuel of rich, heavy earth being placed upon you. The priest and your wives see a glorious God shining in the sun. But you, from the inside, feel the slow, inexorable burial. You are being entombed in beauty, suffocated by reverence. The price of godhood is that you must carry the weight of heaven on your shoulders, and you are beginning to realize that heaven is a very, very heavy place. Your past is a locked room, and for months, you have not even rattled the door. The conditioning has been too thorough, the present too overwhelming. Your old name, the faces of your kin, the landscape of your home, they have been like stones sinking into the deep, still water of your new consciousness, but the past is never truly gone. One afternoon, you are walking through the market district. It's a part of the city you rarely visit, more chaotic and vibrant than the serene ceremonial center. The air is a thick soup of smells: roasting corn, pungent chilies, the earthy scent of rock clay pottery, the sharp tang of uncured animal hides. It is the smell of life, unfiltered and sanitized. And then a new scent cuts through the others. It is the smell of wood smoke, but not the perfumed, resinous smoke of the temples. This is the simple, honest smell of a cooking fire, of burning pine and dough. And just like that, the locked door of your memory is kicked open. The scent transports you. You are no longer a god walking on a carpet of flowers in Tezcatlipoca. You are a boy, standing beside your father, the cool evening air of your home and on your skin. You can see his hands, strong and calloused, as he tends the fire. You can hear the crickets singing in the dry grass. You can smell the same pine smoke, and the aroma of beans and maize cakes cooking in a clay pot. You can almost feel the comforting weight of his hand on your shoulder, so complete that for a terrifying second, the world around you, the grand city, the prostrate crowds, the golden shackles on your wrists dissolves into a hazy dream. The memory is the only thing that feels real. Your pace falters. You stop walking. A collective gasp goes through your attendants. The god has paused. What does it mean? Is it an omen? A sign of displeasure? The high priest at your side moves closer, his face a mask of anxious concern. "My lord," he whispers, his voice barely audible. You turn your head slowly, the heavy head rests a painful constraint, and look at him. You look into his ancient, knowing eyes, the eyes of a man who has dedicated his entire life to the gods you are pretending to be, and you want to tell him everything. You want to say, "My name is not Tezcatlipoca. My father was a farmer. I miss the smell of our cooking fire." You want to shatter the illusion, to force him to see the terrified man rounding in the divine costume. But you don't. The conditioning is too strong. The god and the man are too tightly woven together. You simply bring your flute to your lips. You play a few notes, a broken, questioning melody, a song of a cooking fire in the father's hand. Then you lower the flute to resume your slow, gliding walk, as if nothing has happened. The priest is visibly relieved. The divine moment, whatever it was, has passed. The procession continues, but for you, everything has changed. The past is no longer a distant, faded tapestry. It is a living, breathing presence within you. The memory of the cooking fire has rekindled a flame that you thought had been extinguished forever. This phenomenon, where scent or sound triggers a powerful, involuntary memory, is something modern science has given a name to. But for you, in that moment, it feels like a form of magic. A message from a ghost. It is a reminder that the man they tried to wash away, the man they tried to bury under feathers and gold, is still there. That night, for the first time in months, you dream. You do not dream of being a god in a palace. You dream of running through the fields of your childhood, the rough soil beneath your bare feet. The dream is a balm and a torture. It is a sweet reunion with a world you have lost, and a cruel reminder of the simple, priceless things that have been taken from you. You wake up in the dark, the scent of phantom wood smoke still lingering in your senses, and for the first time since this began, you allow yourself to feel the full, crushing weight of your own grief. The tears that fall on your feather-stuffed pillows are not a god's sacred water. They are the tears of a lost boy a long way from home. The city's sacred calendar is a complex, spinning wheel of festivals and ceremonies. And now a major one has arrived. It is the festival of Tezcatlipoca, a dry season ceremony that, ironically, is dedicated to none other than Tezcatlipoca himself. This is your festival. You are not just a spectator or an honored guest. You are the guest of honor, the central, living symbol of the entire celebration. The day begins with even more elaborate ceremony than usual. You are adorned in new, even more magnificent regalia. A paper crown, intricately cut and painted, is added to your headdress. Garlands of marigolds, the flower of the dead, are draped around your neck, their pungent, earthy scent filling the air. This combination of divine splendor and symbols of mortality is a deliberate, chilling choice, a public acknowledgement of the path you are on. You are led to the top of the great temple, the twin minus-peaked pyramid at the very heart of Tezcatlipoca. From this vantage point, you can see the entire city laid out like a map. The crowds in the plaza below are a vast, silent sea of white minus-robed figures. Today, the mood is different. It is not the ecstatic joy of your first presentation. It is a more somber, more intense atmosphere of deep religious awe. You preside over the day's rituals. Priests chant long hypnotic hymns, their voices rising and falling in the thin, high-altitude air. The sound of drums, a deep, resonant heartbeat, echoes off the stone walls of the surrounding buildings. Smoke from thousands of incense burners rises in thick, sweet smelling clouds, shrouding the temple top in a mystical haze. Then comes the centerpiece of the public ritual. A series of offerings are made, not the brutal, heart-rending sacrifices that the Aztecs are so often remembered for, but offerings of a different kind. Priests bring forward baskets of the first fruits of the season, precious feathers, bolts of fine cloth, and intricate sculptures made of amaranth dough. These are laid at your feet, a tribute from the people to their god, a prayer for continued favor. As you sit on your jaguar-skin throne, watching this solemn pageantry unfold, you have a new and startling perspective. Before, the worship of the crowds was an abstract, overwhelming force, but now, you see the individuals. You see the hope and fear on their faces. You see the old woman whose hands tremble as she adds her small offering of flowers. You see the young warrior, his face stoic, praying for success in a future battle. You see the farmer, his face weathered by the sun, praying for the rains that will make his crops grow. They are not worshipping you, the man. They are pouring all of their hopes, their fears, their entire worldview into the symbol you have become. You are their conduit to the cosmic forces that govern their lives. Your existence, your beautiful, temporary presence, is a focal point for their collective faith. It gives them a sense of order in a chaotic world. It assures them that the universe is in balance, that the gods are present and accounted for. This understanding within you, the role you are playing is not just a cruel, elaborate charade. It is a vital, functioning part of this society. You are a living linchpin, a beautiful, perfect cog in a great cosmic machine. Your life and your death has a purpose that is far greater than you could have imagined. This realization doesn't make your fate any less terrifying, but it imbues it with a profound, undeniable meaning. The nature of the Tezcatlipoca festival itself is a subject of much scholarly debate. Some see it as a symbolic death of the god, a moment of transition before the final, physical sacrifice. Others interpret it as a ceremony of renewal, where the god's energy is celebrated at its peak before being ceremonially transferred back to the cosmos. As you sit there, surrounded by the fervent, desperate prayers of an entire city, it feels like both. It is a celebration of your life and a commemoration of your death, all at once. As the sun begins to set, casting long, dramatic shadows across the plaza, the public part of the ceremony concludes. You are led back down the temple steps, the crowd parting before you in reverent silence. You return to your palace, the scent of marigolds and incense clinging to you like a shroud. You are exhausted not physically, but emotionally. You are exhausted not physically, but emotionally. You are no longer just a victim, and you are beginning to understand the awesome, terrible power of that word. In the quiet, golden afternoon that follows the great festival, a dangerous seed takes root in your mind. It is a thought so audacious, so impossible, that you almost dismiss it as a fleeting madness. The thought is this escape. It comes to you as you watch the eagles in your menagerie. You see one of them catch a rising current of warm air, and soar upwards in a lazy, effortless spiral. It climbs higher and higher, a dark speck against the brilliant blue sky, a creature of pure, untethered freedom. The idea is absurd. You are the most famous, most recognizable person in the entire empire. Your face, your regalia are known to everyone. Where could you possibly go? Every road is watched, every canoe on the lake accounted for. The priests and attendants who surround you are not just servants, they are your jailers, albeit the most respectful and gentle jailers in the world. But the seed has been planted, and for the first time in many months, you begin to observe your surroundings not as a god surveying his domain, but as a prisoner mapping his cell. You start to notice the routines of the palace guards. You pay attention to the height of the walls, the moments when a particular courtyard is empty. You listen to the conversations of your attendants, trying to catch any stray word about the world outside your gilded cage. Your palace backs onto one of the city's main canals. At night you can hear the soft dip of paddles as merchants' canoes glide by, carrying goods to the market for the next day. You imagine for a moment, sipping out of your chambers, silent in the dark. You imagine finding a small, unattended canoe and pushing off into the black, silent water, paddling away from the heart of the city, towards the reed-choked shores of the lake, and beyond to freedom. The fantasy is intoxicating. It's a rush of adrenaline, a jolt of hope so powerful, it makes you feel light-headed. For a few days, you live in this secret, internal world of planning and plotting. Every slow, graceful walk you take is, in your mind, a reconnaissance mission. Every haunting melody you play on your flute is a coded expression of your yearning for freedom. The practicalities of the fantasy, however, are staggering. You would have to shed your divine skin. The paint, the feathers, the gold, all of it would have to be left behind. You would have to become anonymous again, a nameless man in a simple loincloth. Could you even do it? So much of your old self has been scoured away. Who would you be without the regalia? This question of escape is one that historians and archaeologists have often wondered about. Did any of the men chosen for this role ever try to run? The official chronicles, written by the Aztecs themselves, are silent on the matter. To them, it would be unthinkable. Why would a man, elevated to the status of a god, choose to flee such an honor? But human nature is a powerful force. It is hard to believe that in the long history of this ritual, every single chosen man went to his fate without a single thought of resistance. Somewhere in the unwritten history of this empire, there must be a story of a failed escape, of a god-impersonator dragged back in shame. But it is a story that has been lost to time. Your fantasy reaches its peak one moonless night. The palace is silent. The guards are drowsy at their posts. You can hear the gentle lapping of the canal water just beyond the wall. The opportunity feels real, tangible. You rise from your bed, your heart pounding a frantic, wild rhythm against your ribs. This is it. This is the moment. You stand in the darkness of your room, the ghost of a man stripped of all his divine trappings. And then you think of what comes next. Even if you made it to the shore, where would you go? You are a stranger in this land. Your own people are miles away, across mountains and enemy territories. You don't speak the dialects of the farmers in the countryside. You would be an outcast, hunted and alone. And then, a colder, more profound thought comes to you. You think of the faces in the crowd at the festival. The old woman, the warrior, the farmer. Their faith. Their faith. Their belief in you. Your escape would not just be a bid for your own life. It would be a cosmic act of vandalism, a declaration that their faith is meaningless, that their god is a fraud. The machine would not stop. They would simply find another flawless specimen and begin again. Your flight would accomplish nothing but to create chaos and fear, and to brand you a coward who rejected a sacred duty. The weight of this responsibility settles on you, heavier than any feathered headdress. You are trapped not just by walls and guards, but by the hopes and dreams of 1 million people. Your life is no longer your own. It belongs to them. Slowly you return to your bed. The wild hope drains away, replaced by a calm, cold, and utterly devastating sense of resignation. The dream of escape is over. You have seen the eagle, but you know now with absolute certainty that you do not have wings. In the aftermath of your abandoned hope of escape, a subtle but profound shift occurs in your relationship with your four wives. The wall of divine artifice, the carefully constructed barrier between the god and the women, begins to show the faintest of cracks. Perhaps they sense the change in you, the quiet resignation that has replaced the deep, restless loneliness, or perhaps as the end of the year draws nearer, the reality of their own changing fates makes them more willing to see the man behind the mask. It begins with small, almost imperceptible gestures, a lingering touch as they adjust a bracelet on your wrist, a shared glance that lasts a fraction of a second too long, a moment of shared silence that feels not awkward, but comfortable human. They are the only ones who see you in the moments of transition when the black paint is applied in the morning and washed away at night. They see the bare skin, the unadorned man. They are the guardians of your brief, daily return to mortality. One evening you are sitting with Ixiptla, the embodiment of the flower goddess, in one of the quieter courtyards. The air is cool, and the sky is a deep, star-minus dusted indigo. You have been playing a soft, melancholic tune on your flute. When you finish, a heavy silence falls between you. In the past, she would have filled it with a poetic compliment. Tonight, she does not. Instead, she reaches out and gently touches the clay flute in your hands. "The songs are sadder now," she says, her voice barely a whisper. It is the most direct, personal observation anyone has made to you in almost a year. It is a forbidden acknowledgement of your inner world. You look at her, truly look at her, not as a divine consort, but as a young woman. You see the faint lines of worry around her eyes, the gentle curve of her mouth. You wonder about her story, the life she was chosen from, the dreams she had to leave behind to become a goddess for a year. You are both living borrowed lives, wearing beautiful costumes on a stage that is rapidly running out of scenes. The wind changes its tune when the season turns, you reply, using the metaphorical language you have been taught. It is the safe, expected answer of a god. But the way you say it, the look in your eyes as you meet hers conveys a different message. You are right. I am sad. In that moment a silent, powerful understanding passes between you. It is not love, not in any conventional sense. It is a profound, shared empathy, a recognition of your mutual predicament. You are the only two people on earth who can truly comprehend the beautiful, terrible strangeness of your life. This fragile, unspoken connection deepens in the coming weeks, extending to the other three women as well. They begin to care for you with a tenderness that feels less like ritual duty and more like genuine compassion. When they prepare your food, they remember the fruits you prefer. When they weave flowers into your hair, they choose the ones whose scent you seem to enjoy the most. They are small, human acts of kindness that shine like stars in the vast, impersonal darkness of your divine role. The historical reality of the relationship between the Ixiptla and his four wives is of course lost to us. The Spanish chroniclers, viewing the practice through a lens of religious horror, recorded only the barest outlines. They were given to him as wives, and that is where the description ends. But it is a subject of much speculation among modern historians. Was the relationship purely ceremonial? Or, in the crucible of this intense, shared experience, did genuine bonds of affection and interdependence form? To imagine it as anything other than a complex, deeply human relationship is to deny the humanity of everyone involved. One night, you wake from a nightmare, a silent cry caught in your throat. You are trembling, the phantom fear of the dream still clinging to you. One of your wives, it is too dark to see which one, is instantly there, a cool hand on your forehead, a soft voice murmuring calming, meaningless words, the way one would soothe a frightened child. She stays with you until the trembling stops, a quiet, human presence in the terrifying divine dark. These moments are your salvation. They do not change your fate. The calendar pages continue to turn. The pyramid still waits, but these fleeting moments of connection, these glimpses of humanity beneath the flowered veils of divinity, make the remaining time bearable. They are a quiet reminder that even in the heart of a ritual designed to erase a man, the need for human warmth, for a simple, compassionate touch, can never be truly extinguished. You are not just an offering. You are a man being cared for in his final days. The night sky over Tezcatlipoca is a revelation. Unpolluted by artificial light, the stars are a brilliant, crowded tapestry of diamonds scattered on black velvet, In the final months of your year, you find yourself drawn to them. After your wives have retired and the palace has settled into a deep stillness, you often walk to the center of the largest courtyard, the one with the clearest view of the heavens, and you simply look up. At first, your stargazing is a form of escape, a way to feel connected to something vast and eternal, something far beyond the claustrophobic confines of your ritualized life. The stars are distant, cold, and beautifully indifferent to your fate. They ask nothing of you. They do not worship you or fear you. They simply are. In their silent, shimmering presence, you feel a sense of peace, a momentary release from the crushing weight of your role. But as the weeks go by, your contemplation deepens. You begin to ask the stars the questions you cannot ask anyone else. What is the meaning of this? What is the purpose of a life given, only to be taken away in such a spectacular fashion? Is this an honor? A punishment? Or is it simply a function, a necessary turning of a cosmic wheel, as impersonal as the rising of the sun? The Aztec people were master astronomers. Their priests and nobles spent lifetimes observing the heavens, charting the courses of the stars, the sun, and the moon with incredible precision. Their calendar was a masterpiece of mathematical and astronomical calculation. They saw the cosmos not as a random collection of objects, but as a living, breathing entity, a divine stage on which the great drama of creation and destruction was constantly playing out. The movements of the stars were the language of the gods, a script that could be read by those with the wisdom to understand it. You, however, are not a priest or an astronomer. You have not been taught to read this celestial script. You can only look up in wonder and ask your own, more personal questions. You wonder if your sacrifice will truly make a difference. Will the sun really be stronger? Will the rains truly come? Will the universe be more stable because your heart stops beating? The faith of the people you see every day, the fervent belief in the eyes of the priests, tells you that it will. It is the fundamental equation of their world's sacred energy, in the form of human life, must be expended to keep the cosmos in motion. You begin to contemplate the God you have become, Tezcatlipoca. He is a god of duality, of night and day, of honor and disgrace, of creation and destruction. He is the patron of sorcerers, warriors, and kings, but also the trickster who brings down the mighty. In his obsidian mirror, one does not see a clear reflection, but a clouded, distorted image. He is the god of uncertainty, of the beautiful, terrible randomness of fate. And as you stand under the stars, you realize the profound, terrifying appropriateness of it all. Your life, this past year, has been a perfect reflection of your God. You were a nobody, a captive, and you were elevated to the highest honor. You have lived a life of unimaginable luxury, only to face a brutal end. You are both the honored king and the sacrificial slave. Your entire existence has become an embodiment of Tezcatlipoca's capricious, contradictory nature. It's a point that historians often debate: to what extent did the impersonator internalize the theology of his role? Was it possible to go through this year-long, immersive ritual without, on some level, beginning to believe? Or did they maintain a sense of cynical detachment to the end? Standing there, with the immense weight of an entire culture's cosmology pressing down on you, detachment feels like an impossible luxury. Belief, in some form, is the only thing that makes sense. It is the only narrative that can tame the sheer strangeness of your reality. You don't receive any answers from the stars. They continue their silent, majestic procession across the sky. But in the asking of the questions, something inside you settles. You begin to accept your role, not just as a captive forced into a pod, but as an active participant in the great, beautiful, and terrifying drama of the cosmos. You are a star, a very small and temporary one, and your purpose is to burn brightly for a short time, and then to fall, leaving a brief, radiant streak across the sky for others to witness. The thought does not bring you joy, but it brings you a strange and powerful sense of peace. Your death will not be a meaningless end. It will be a final, perfect performance. The sun begins its slow, inexorable slide south. The fierce, dry heat of the long summer months gives way to a new coolness in the evening air. The rains, once a daily, dramatic downpour, become less frequent, replaced by a softer, hazier sky. The trees in the palace courtyards, which have been lush and green, begin to show the faintest touches of golden brown at the edges of their leaves. The season is turning, and with it the final pages of your calendar are turning too. The change in the weather is a physical, undeniable manifestation of the passage of time. You can no longer measure your life here in an abstract collection of weeks or months. You can feel it in the chill that settles after sunset, a coolness that seeps into the stone floors of the palace. You can see it in the changing light, the way the afternoon sun casts longer, softer shadows. Each sunset is a little earlier, each sunrise a little later. The world is quietly, gracefully, preparing for a period of rest, of slumber. And so, you realize, this connection to the natural cycles was at the very core of the Aztec worldview. Their lives, their rituals, their entire calendar were intricately woven into the rhythms of the agricultural year, the planting of the maize, the coming of the rains, the harvest, and the fallow season. Your sacrifice was not an arbitrary event. It was timed to coincide with a specific point in this cycle. You are a human embodiment of a season, a beautiful, vibrant summer of a man who must now fade to make way for the coming quiet of autumn. The change is not just in the air around you, but in the atmosphere within the palace. There is a new gravity, a new solemnity in the air. The easy, languid pace of the summer months has been replaced by a more deliberate, more focused energy. The servants seem even more silent and unobtrusive than before. The priests visit you more frequently, not for instruction, but simply to sit in your presence, their faces etched with a deep, religious contemplation. Your wives, too, are different. The fragile, human connection you forged with them is now tinged with a deep, unspoken sorrow. Their gestures of care take on a new poignancy. When they arrange flowers in your chamber, it feels less like a decoration and more like a funeral offering. When they sing for you, their beautiful voices are laced with a new, melancholic harmony. One afternoon, a gust of wind, the first truly cool wind of the season, blows through the courtyard where you are sitting. It rustles the leaves of the trees and sends a shower of dry, golden petals drifting to the ground around you. You watch them fall, these small, perfect pieces of a dying summer. You reach out and catch one on the back of your hand. It is so fragile, its color so brilliant, its life so short. In that moment, you see your own reflection in the life of that flower petal. The realization is not a moment of panic or terror. That has passed. Instead, it is a moment of profound, almost serene clarity. You understand your place in the great, beautiful, ruthless cycle of life and death. The summer must end for the spring to return. The maize must be harvested for the people to eat. The sun, in their cosmology, must die each night to be reborn each morning. You too must follow this pattern. Your death is a necessary part of its continuation. Historians often struggle to convey this cyclical conception of time, so different from the modern, linear view of a past, present, and future that marches in a straight line. For the Aztecs, time was a wheel, and the great events and rituals were fixed points on that wheel, coming around again and again. The man who had been Tezcatlipoca the year before you, and the one the year before him, had all watched this same season turn. You are part of a long, unbroken chain of beautiful men who have felt this same cool breeze and understood what it meant. You close your hand over the flower petal, a small, secret communion. The time for questions and rebellion is over. The time for acceptance has arrived. The wind is colder now, the nights are longer, and the path ahead, which for so long was a distant abstraction, is now clear, direct, and very, very short. As the days shorten, the nature of your public appearances changes. You are brought out into the city more often, paraded through the ceremonial avenues not just on special occasions, but with a new, insistent regularity. The mood of the crowd, too, has shifted from one of ecstatic celebration to something deeper, more desperate. You are no longer just a symbol of divine presence. You are a vessel, a container of their collective hopes and fears, and the time for that vessel to be poured out is approaching. People bring you offerings with a new urgency. It is not just flowers and incense now. A mother holds up her sick child, her eyes pleading for a divine glance that might heal him. A merchant, on the verge of a long and dangerous journey, prostrates himself in the dust before you, praying for a safe return. Warriors, their faces painted for battle, ask for your blessing, for the favor of the god of conflict and destiny. You become a focal point for the city's anxieties. The belief that your sacrifice would appease the gods and ensure the stability of the cosmos was not a vague, abstract concept. It was a deeply practical and immediate concern. A drought, a failed crop, a lost battle, all of these could be seen as signs of divine displeasure. Your perfect, willing sacrifice was the ultimate appeasement, a grand gesture to set the cosmic balance right. You are the ultimate insurance policy. This intense focus on your role forces a final, profound shift in your own perspective. For so long, this journey has been about you, your loss, your fear, your strange and terrible fate. But now, standing before the pleading eyes of thousands of people, you realize it is not about you at all. You, the man, are irrelevant. Your name, your past, your personal feelings, they are all just the transient details of the vessel. What matters is the function. You are the embodiment of their collective will, their shared social contract with the universe. They have given you the best of everything, the finest food, the most beautiful companions, the deepest reverence, and in return, you will give them the one thing they cannot give themselves, a willing, perfect bridge to the gods. It is a transaction of the highest possible stakes. One day an old priest, one of your original tutors from the Calmecac, comes to you in the palace. His face, usually an impassive mask, is etched with a rare, human emotion. He speaks to you not as a god, but as a man fulfilling a sacred trust. He tells you stories of past droughts, of a time when the maize withered on the stalk, of the famine and fear that gripped the city. He tells you of the last great earthquake, how the very ground, the body of the earth monster Tezcatlipoca, groaned in anger. His point is clear. The world is a dangerous, unstable place. The forces that govern it are powerful and unpredictable. Their rituals, their sacrifices are not acts of desperate, necessary maintenance. They are the cosmic engineers trying to keep the great, complex, and often terrifying machine of the universe running smoothly, and you are the most precious and vital component in that year's repair kit. It's a worldview that is, of course, entirely alien to a modern sensibility. The idea of a human sacrifice as a necessary, life-affirming act is a concept most people find abhorrent. But from within their frame of reference, it possessed a powerful, coherent logic. There is an ongoing scholarly discussion about the extent to which this was pure religious belief versus a form of political theater, a way for the state to demonstrate its power and control over life and death. The truth is likely that it was both, inextricably intertwined. The state's power came from its perceived ability to mediate with the gods. Listening to the old priest's stories, looking out at the fervent faces of the people, you finally understand. Your role is not a punishment. It is not, in their eyes, a tragedy. It is an act of supreme creation. You are not being transformed into pure, sacred energy that will feed the sun, nourish the earth, and keep the world safe for all of these people who are praying your name in the street. You place your hand on the old priest's shoulder, a gesture of reassurance. He flinches, surprised by the direct, human contact. You look into his eyes and give him a slow, deliberate nod. I understand. I am ready. The fear has not vanished completely, but it has been overshadowed by this awesome sense of purpose. You have finally accepted the terrible, beautiful weight of your own meaning. You are no longer just a man playing a god. You are an idea, a promise, a prayer about to be answered. The final phase begins exactly 20 days before the end. The shift is subtle, yet absolute. A new set of rituals commences, a slow, ceremonial winding down of your divine life on earth. The period is called the fading, or lessening, and it is a meticulously choreographed preparation for your final journey. The first change is in your appearance. Your magnificent regalia, the shimmering feathers and gold you have worn for a year, is taken from you. It is replaced with the simpler, more stark attire of a traveler, a warrior going on his final campaign. A simple white cotton mantle, a traveler's sandals. The change is shocking. After a year of being weighed down by splendor, your body feels an eveningum light, exposed. When you look at your reflection now, You see not the overwhelming presence of Tezcatlipoca, but a man being stripped down to his essential self in preparation for being given away. The feasting also stops. The elaborate, multi-course meals, the exotic fruits and spiced chocolate are replaced by a simple, purifying diet. Maize cakes, amaranth seeds, and pure water. This is not a punishment, but a ritual cleansing, a way to prepare the body for its transformation into a sacred offering. You are being emptied out, physically and symbolically. The daily rhythms of the palace, once so languid and luxurious, are now filled with a quiet, purposeful activity. Priests are in constant attendance, chanting long, low hymns from the sacred books. The air, which for so long smelled of flowers and perfume, now smells constantly of copal, the smoke of which is believed to carry prayers to the heavens. It is during this time that you are made to dance and sing. But these are not the joyful, celebratory performances of a courtly god. These are solemn, ritual dances, the steps ancient and prescribed. The songs are not your own haunting flute melodies, but formal, liturgical chants whose lyrics speak of the cycle of death and rebirth, of the God who gives himself away so that the world may continue. You are, in essence, rehearsing the theology of your own sacrifice. This 20-day period is a fascinating psychological study. How does a person endure this slow, public countdown to their own end? Modern scholars drawing on psychology have suggested it might induce a trance-like state, a sense of detachment and acceptance. By ritualizing every aspect of the final days, the process is transformed from a terrifying execution into a sacred duty, each step of which is imbued with cosmic significance. The individual's fear is subsumed by the grandeur and importance of the ritual. Perhaps the most poignant change is in your relationship with your four wives. Your divine marriage is now formally dissolved. They no longer share your chambers. They observe you now from a distance, their faces veiled, their roles shifted from divine companions to sacred mourners. The fragile human warmth that had become your anchor in this strange world is now withdrawn. This final, profound isolation is a key part of the process. You must go on this last journey alone. You see them one last time in a formal silent ceremony. They stand before you, and you look at each of them, at the faces that have become the only true constellation in your sky. You cannot touch. You cannot look. And in their eyes, you see it all, the shared memory of the year, the pity, the reverence, and the deep, inescapable sorrow of this final goodbye. They bow low, for the last time, and then they are led. A world, which they had held open for you just a crack, is now firmly and finally closed. You are left in the stark, incense-filled chamber with only the priests for company. The stripping away is almost complete. Your godhood has been ceremonially removed. Your human connections have been severed. Your body is being purified. You are being reduced to your purest form, the offering. The 20-day countdown has begun, a slow, steady drumbeat marking the final steps of your journey from a man to a memory. The final farewell is a masterpiece of silent, emotional restraint. There is no weeping, no clinging, no desperate final words. The entire ceremony is conducted with the solemn grace of a setting sun. You are brought to the grandest chamber of the palace, the same one where you were first presented with your divine regalia, so long ago. The tapestries on the walls seem to soak up all sound, creating a pocket of profound quiet in the heart of the bustling city. You stand in the center of the room, dressed in your simple traveler's whites. Facing you are your four wives. They are no longer adorned as the goddesses Ixiptla, Atlotonan, Ixiptla, and Zilowenien. Like you, they have been stripped of their divine costumes. They are dressed in simple, unadorned robes of dark, earthy colors. They are once again the daughters of noblemen, their year of divinity now a memory. Their beauty, without the artifice of feathers and jewels, is more human, more fragile, and somehow more heartbreaking. Behind them stand the priests, their faces as impassive as carved stone. This is not a private moment of grief. It is the final, formal act of your divine life, and it must be witnessed and consecrated. A priest steps forward and begins to chant in a low monotone, the words of the sacred verse describing the parting of a god from his earthly companions. The chant is not for you or for them. It is for the cosmos, a formal announcement that this part of the divine story has concluded. As the chant continues, each of the women steps forward one by one. There is no script for this moment, no prescribed ritual action beyond the separation itself. What happens next is a silent improvisation, a final, fleeting expression of the year you have shared. The first, who was the goddess of salt, simply looks you in the eye for a long moment, a look of profound, sorrowful respect, and then bows her head and steps back. The second, who embodied the tender maize goddess, makes a small, almost imperceptible gesture with her hand, a gesture you have seen her make 100 times when presenting you with food. It is a gesture of nurturing, of care, and in this context, it is a final, silent blessing. The third, the goddess of the coast, is wearing a single, simple seashell on a cord around her neck, the only remnant of her former regalia. She touches it briefly, a reminder of the vast, unknowable ocean of journeys and goodbyes. And then comes Ixiptla, the woman who heard the sadness in your flute, the one with whom you shared that fleeting, unspoken moment of understanding in the twilight courtyard. She steps forward, and her eyes hold yours. In them, you see no artifice, no raw minus playing. You see a young woman, trapped in her own gilded cage, saying goodbye to her fellow prisoner. She raises her hands, not in a gesture of worship, but in a simple, human gesture of farewell. Then, with a grace that tears at your heart, she bows low and steps back into the line. This moment, this silent, formal separation, is a subject of much quiet conjecture among historians. The Spanish sources focused on the final sacrifice mention the separation only in passing, but it is a moment of immense psychological weight. For the women, it marks the end of the most extraordinary year of their lives and the beginning of a long, quiet widowhood, honored but sequestered from the world. For the Ixiptla, it is the final severing of his ties to the world of human affection. This ritualized severing was likely crucial for the final stages of the process, ensuring the sacrificial victim was emotionally isolated and focused solely on his cosmic duty. When the last woman has stepped back, the high priest makes a sharp, clear gesture. The ceremony is over. Two attendants turn the women and lead them from the chamber. They do not look back. You watch them go, the four dark robed figures disappearing behind the heavy tapestry, taking the last of the warmth from the room, from your life. The silence they leave behind is absolute. It is a perfect, hollow emptiness. You are now truly, completely alone, a solitary figure standing on the shore of your own life, watching the last boat sail away over the horizon. The human part of your story is finished. Only the god's final act remains. The dawn of your final day breaks cold and grey. There is no elaborate dressing ceremony, no application of paint or gold. You are already wearing your final costume, the simple white mantle of the traveler. After a sparse meal of maize and water, you are led from the palace for the last time. The silent, soft footed servants who have attended you for a year line the corridor, their heads bowed so low their foreheads nearly touch the ground. You walk past them, a ghost leaving a house of gold. When you step out of the palace gates, the city is waiting. But the atmosphere is nothing like your first grand procession. There are no cheers, no chants. A deep, profound, and heavy silence hangs over the vast plaza. Tens of thousands of people are gathered, but they are utterly still, a forest of silent witnesses. Their faces are grim, their eyes fixed on you with an intensity that is almost a physical force. You are not alone. A large procession forms around you, made up of priests in their black robes and a contingent of elite warriors, their faces and bodies painted in the fearsome patterns of the jaguar and the eagle. They are not your gods in a conventional sense. They are your honor guard, your companions on this final, sacred journey. And so, the long walk begins. Your destination is not the great temple in the heart of the city, the site of your public triumph at the festival. Your final altar is somewhere else, a place outside the city, quieter and more ancient. The specific location of this temple is a detail that has been lost to history, but the accounts suggest it was a place called Tezcatlipoca, a smaller, more secluded temple, perhaps on the mainland shore of the lake. The choice of a different location is significant. The grand ceremonies of state took place at the Templo Mayor. Your final transformation is a more mystical, more intimate affair, set apart from the world of politics and commerce. You walk out of the city along one of the great causeways, the wide, stone-paved roads that connected the island city of Tezcatlipoca to the shores of the lake. The causeway is lined with people, standing shoulder to shoulder, their silent gaze following you. You can see the city's famous floating gardens, the china palms, green islands of woven reeds and rich soil where they grew their flowers and vegetables. The air smells of damp earth, of lake water, and of the thousands of silent, breathing bodies packed along the roadside. You carry a quartet of clay flutes with you. These are not the same flute you have played all year, the one that became your voice. That one was taken from you when your regalia was removed. These are for new flutes, symbolic representations of the music of your divine year. The walk is long, stretching for miles. The sun climbs higher in the sky, its heat pressing down on your shoulders. The silence of the crowd is relentless, broken only by the rhythmic tramp of the warriors' sandals and the low, hypnotic chanting of the priests. You do not look at the faces in the crowd. You keep your gaze fixed ahead on the distant, hazy shoreline, on the small, solitary temple that you can just begin to make out in the distance. This journey, this Via Sacra, was a key part of the ritual. It was a physical manifestation of the transition from the world of the living to the realm of the gods. You are literally walking out of the known world, the ordered, geometric grid of the city, and into a more liminal, sacred space. It's a classic element of rites of passage found in cultures all over the world, a physical journey that mirrors an internal, spiritual transformation. As you walk, your mind, surprisingly, is calm. The terror and the grief have been burned away by the intensity of the past few weeks. All that is left is a quiet, focused sense of purpose. You think of the year that has passed, the taste of the first feast, the impossible beauty of your wives, the feel of the sun on your skin, the secret, sorrowful songs you played on your flute. It does not feel like a wasted year. It feels like a complete life, lived with an intensity that few others will ever know. Finally, after hours of walking, you reach the end of the causeway. You step off the stone road and onto the soft earth of the mainland. The crowd does not follow. They remain on the causeway, a silent, distant sea of spectators. From here you will walk with only the priests. The city, your golden cage and magnificent stage, is now behind you. Ahead, a small steep pyramid rises from the earth, its stone steps waiting. The final phase of your journey, the ascent, is about to begin. You stand at the base of the pyramid. It is smaller and steeper than the great temple, a more ancient and primal structure. The stone is dark, weathered by countless seasons of sun and rain. There are no grand sculptures or painted reliefs here, only the stark, uncompromising geometry of the staircase rising to meet the sky. The air is still and quiet, the distant hum of the city now completely gone, replaced by the whisper of the wind through the dry grass. This is the place where the world ends and the heavens begin. The priests accompanying you form a solemn circle at the foot of the stairs. They will not be making the final ascent with you. This last climb is a journey you must make entirely alone, a final, symbolic shedding of your earthly guides. The high priest, the same man who first selected you from the line of captives, steps forward. He holds the 4 clay flutes that you have carried on your long walk. He hands them to you, one by one, his movements slow and deliberate. His face, for the first time, seems to hold a trace of something other than ritual impassivity. It might be awe, or it might just be the reflection of the vast, empty sky in his dark obsidian eyes. He gives you a single, sharp nod. It is time. You turn to face the staircase. You place your foot on the first step. The stone is cool beneath your sandal. You take a moment, a final, grounding breath, and then you begin to climb. The ritual dictates that on each step, or on each level of the pyramid, you must break one of your flutes. It is the most poignant and symbolic act of your final moments. The music, which has been your voice, your companion, your only true form of expression for a year, must now be silent. You take a few steps up, your movements slow and measured. Then you pause. You take the first of the 4 flutes, hold it in your hands for a moment, and then with a sharp, decisive movement, you strike it against the edge of a stone step. The sound of the clay shattering is shockingly loud in the profound silence. It is a sound of finality, a crisp, sharp report that echoes in the still air. The pieces clatter down the steps, small brown shards of a melody that will never be played again. You leave the broken pieces where they lie and continue your climb. This act of breaking the flutes is a powerful piece of symbolism that has fascinated scholars. It represents the renunciation of worldly pleasures. Music, beauty, the breath of life itself, all are being offered up, broken on the altar of the cosmos. It's a systematic dismantling of the persona you have inhabited. The beautiful, flute-minus playing God is being unmade, step by step. Each broken flute is a farewell to a part of the life you live. You continue to climb. The steps are steep, and you focus on the simple, physical act of placing one foot in front of the other. The world begins to shrink. Your field of vision narrows to the grey stone in front of you, the blue sky above you. The blue sky above you, the figures of the priests at the bottom of the pyramid become smaller, until they are just a cluster of dark specks on the earth below. You pause again. You take the second flute. You think of the songs you played, the joy, the sorrow, the secret rebellion you poured into its hollow body. You break it. The sound echoes again, another full stop at the end of a sentence. Now the third. You think of your wives, of the songs you played for them in the twilight courtyards. You think of Quetzal's face, the moment she understood. You break the flute. The sound is a sharp pang of grief. Finally, only one flute remains. You are near the top of the pyramid now. The air is thinner, cooler. The world is spread out below you like a painted map, the shimmering lake, the perfect island city of Tezcatlipoca, the distant purple mountains. You hold the last flute. This one represents the future, the songs that will never be played, the melodies that will die with you. With a sense of profound, weary finality, you raise it and bring it down against the stone. The last note of your life has been silenced. You stand there for a moment, your hands empty, the broken pieces of your voice scattered on the steps behind you. There is nothing left to renounce. You have given it all away. You are empty, ready. You take the final few steps to the summit, a flat stone platform, empty save for a single, low, carved stone in the center. The sacrificial stone, your altar. The wind at the top of the pyramid is a living thing. It whips your simple white mantle around you and whispers in your ears with a sound like a distant sea. Up here, you are no longer in the world of men. You are in the domain of the sky, the sun, and the gods. The whole of the Valley of Mexico is laid out before you, a breathtaking panorama of lakes, mountains, and the island city, a geometric jewel floating in a turquoise setting. It is the most beautiful thing you have ever seen, and you are seeing it for the last time. The world you left at the bottom of the pyramid feels a universe away. The priests are now indistinguishable figures. The silent crowds lining the causeway are a distant, hazy line. Your entire life, the joys and sorrows, the triumphs and fears, has shrunk to a single point of intense, focused awareness. There is only the here and now. There is only the here and now. There is only the here and now. There is only stone platform, this endless sky, and the relentless, cleansing wind. You walk towards the center of the platform, your sandals making a soft, scraping sound on the weathered stone. The altar, the Tezcatlipoca, is not what you might have imagined. It is not a towering, menacing structure. It is a low, convex block of carved volcanic stone, barely rising above your knees. Its upper surface is curved, designed to arch the back of the person lying upon it. It is a simple, brutally functional piece of sacred furniture. You stand before it, and a profound, almost dreamlike calm settles over you. The fear you have lived with for a year, the dull, constant take of dread, has finally completely evaporated. It has been burned away by the long walk, by the climb, by the breaking of the flutes. It has been replaced by a sense of inevitability, of purpose, of arrival. You have reached the end of your journey. This is your destination. This psychological state, a sense of common acceptance in the face of certain death, is a phenomenon that has been documented in many different contexts, from soldiers in battle to mountaineers in peril. It is as if the mind, pushed beyond the limits of fear, finds a new, quieter place to reside. For you, this state is amplified by the immense weight of the ritual, the belief that what is about to happen is not an end, but a necessary and sacred transformation. You think about the long, strange path that has led you here. From a line of anonymous captives, you were chosen for your perfection. You were washed, taught, and dressed as a god. You lived a life of impossible luxury, surrounded by beauty. You experienced a loneliness so profound it felt like a physical presence. You found a voice in a clay flute, and then you were asked to break it. You felt the flicker of human connection in the eyes of your wives, and then you were asked to say goodbye. It has been a life of such extreme contrasts, of such dizzying heights and terrifying depths. There is a historical debate about whether the sacrificial victims in Aztec culture went to their deaths willingly. The official sources, written by the victors, insist that they did, that it was considered the highest honor. Many modern historians are skeptical, suggesting this was merely propaganda to justify a brutal practice. But the truth is likely more complex. For someone like you, who has undergone a year of intense psychological and spiritual conditioning, the line between coercion and willingness may have become hopelessly blurred. You are not being dragged to this altar. You are walking to it. The choice, if there ever was one, was made long ago. You look up at the sun, a blazing white minus hot disk in the deep blue sky. In the Aztec cosmoria, Tezcatlipoca, who needed to be nourished with sacred energy Chalcai or precious water, the euphemism for human life to have the strength to rise each morning and battle the forces of darkness. Your sacrifice is for him. You are a meal for a god, a single drop of fuel to keep the cosmic engine running for one more day. Slowly, deliberately, you turn away from the breathtaking view. You have said your silent goodbyes. Now you face the altar. The world shrinks again, this time to the few square feet of stone that will be your final stage. You are alone, but you do not feel alone. You feel the eyes of your God upon you. You feel the weight of a million prayers at your back. You are ready. In the final quiet moments, your perception of time warps and stretches. A single heartbeat seems to last an eternity. The sound of the wind becomes a low, orchestral hum. The texture of the stone beneath your feet feels impossibly detailed. Your senses are heightened to a razor's edge, as if your body in its last moments is trying to absorb the entire universe. You turn your back to the altar and sit on its edge. Then slowly, with a grace you did not know you possessed, you lie back. The convex curve of the stone fits perfectly into the small of your back, arching your chest towards the sky. It is not a comfortable position, but it is not a painful one either. It is a posture of absolute surrender, of offering. Your arms are stretched out to your sides, your legs are straight. You are a living vessel, open to the heavens. Your gaze is now fixed directly upwards on the vast, empty canvas of the sky. It is a blue so deep and pure it feels like you could fall into it forever. A single, high-altitude bird, an eagle, perhaps soars in a lazy circle, a tiny, dark speck against the infinite blue. You watch it, your mind emptied of all thought, of all fear. There is only the sky, the bird, and your own slow, steady breath. From the corners of your eyes, you are aware of movement, for figures are ascending the final steps of the pyramid. These are not the priests who accompanied you on your journey. These are different functionaries, the men who will perform the final act. They are dressed simply, their bodies painted black. They move with a swift, practiced efficiency, their faces hidden behind masks carved to resemble skulls or the impassive visages of gods. They are not men, they are forces of nature, instruments of divine will. A fifth figure follows them. He is the high priest, the one who will make the final incision. He is bare-chested, his body adorned with sacred symbols. In his hand, he carries the tool of his trade knife with a handle of intricately mosaic turquoise and a blade of razor-sharp, black obsidian. It is a beautiful, terrible object. The four attendants take their positions, one at each of your limbs. They do not grab you or hold you down with force. They simply place their hands gently but firmly on your wrists and ankles. Their touch is not violent, it is grounding. a human connection at the very end. It is a gesture that says, "We are here with you." The high priest stands over you, his shadow falling across your body. He holds the obsidian knife up to the sun, and for a moment its black, volcanic glass edge catches the light and seems to burn with a white fire. He begins to chant, his voice low and powerful, a final prayer to the sun god, an announcement that the offering is ready, that the precious water is about to be given. Lying there, looking up past the priest's face into the endless sky, your perspective shifts one last time. You are not a victim on an altar. You are the point of a needle connecting the earth and the sky. You are the conduit through which the energy of the human world will be transferred to the divine. The fear, the sadness, the memory of a boy by a cooking fire, it all collapses into this single, infinitely dense point of purpose. You have become the ritual. There is a long running debate among scholars regarding the final moments of these sacrifices. Did the victims struggle? Were they drugged? The Spanish accounts, often written to emphasize the barbarism of the Aztecs, describe scenes of struggle. But the Aztec sources, and the logic of the Ixiptla ritual, suggest something different. For this specific sacrifice, after a year of conditioning and preparation, the ideal was a willing, placid acceptance, perfect expression of your divinity. The priest's chant reaches its crescendo. He lowers the knife. You do not close your eyes. You keep them open, fixed on the sky. You want to see it all, to be present for the final, magnificent moment of your transformation. The last thing you are aware of is the impossible, infinite blue of the sky, the soaring eagle, and the brilliant, blinding light of the sun rushing down to meet you. And in that final, silent moment, as the boundary between you and the universe dissolves, you understand. The separation between the sky above and the stone below ceases to exist. You are no longer a man lying on an altar. You are the altar itself. You are the bridge, the meeting point, the axis around which the world spins. The pain, which you had braced for, is not a fire. It is a flash of brilliant, unimaginable light. The sudden, explosive release of energy. Your heart, the vessel of your life force, is no longer yours. It belongs to the sun. As it is lifted into the sky, a perfect, pulsating offering, you do not feel loss. You feel an expansion. Your consciousness, untethered from its physical form, rushes outwards, merging with the wind, the light, the very air. You are the eagle soaring in the high, thin atmosphere. You are the shimmer of heat rising from the stone. You are the distant, silent hum of the city on the lake. You are the fervent, collective prayer of 1,000,000 people answered. Down below on the stone platform, the ritual is completed with swift, practiced reverence. Your body, the now -empty vessel, is treated with the honor due to the container of a god. It is not discarded, but carefully carried down the pyramid steps. Its purpose has been fulfilled. The shell has been broken, and the spirit has been released. The high priest holds your heart towards the sun, the ultimate communion, the precious water feeding the source of all life. The observers down below, the priests at the foot of the pyramid, the distant crowds on the causeway, let out a collective, sighing breath. It is done. The cosmic balance has been restored. The debt has been paid. The sun has been fed and will have the strength to rise tomorrow. This belief in the transfer of life force is central to understanding Aztec cosmology. It wasn't about violence for its own sake. It was a deeply held conviction that life was a cycle, and that the energy of one being, when sacrificed in a sacred manner, could be used to nourish and sustain the larger whole. Historians still grapple with the sheer scale of this practice, but from within the Aztec worldview, it was as logical and necessary as a farmer planting a seed. One must give to the earth for the earth to give back. Your story does not end on that stone altar. It becomes a part of the greater story of the people. They will talk of the year that Tezcatlipoca walked among them. They will remember the haunting beauty of your flute, the grace of your movements, the divine presence you embodied. You will become a legend, a benchmark against which future god-impersonators will be measured. The man you were is gone, erased completely, but the god you became is now immortal. woven into the fabric of their history, their faith and their calendar. And somewhere in a quiet, secluded corner of the city, 4 women will live out their days in honored widowhood. They will never speak your name, but they will remember the man. They will remember the sadness in your music, the brief, stolen moments of human connection. Your memory will be their secret, a single, flickering candle in the vast, grand temple of their shared past. As for you, you are free. Free from the golden cage, free from the weight of the feathers, free from the lonely burden of divinity. Your single, precious, terrifying year is over. Your sacrifice is complete. And the universe, nourished by your gift, continues its slow, majestic, and eternal dance among the stars. And now the story is over. The final word has been spoken, and the echo is fading into a comfortable, deep silence. The world of the smoking mirror, of the golden cage and the final ascent, now recedes like a dream you are slowly, gently waking from, or perhaps drifting more deeply into. You can feel the weight of your own body, not on a cold stone altar but on a soft, welcoming surface, your own bed. The air you breathe is not the thin, cool air of a pyramid top, but the quiet, familiar air of your own room. The journey is complete. You have walked the path of the God-minded impersonator, felt the weight of his crown, and witnessed his final, peaceful release. And now you too can release the day, you can release your thoughts, you can release the need to listen to my voice any longer. You can let the silence that follows be a soft blanket covering you, comforting you, and carrying you into the deep, restorative quiet of your own peaceful slumber. There is nothing left to do. Only the gentle, easy rhythm of your own breathing leading you down into a well-minded, deserved and profound rest. The final page is turned. If your eyelids are still not heavy, another story might be the final lullaby you need. Sleep sweetly. Good night.